Welcome to the Trillion Dollar Club. I'm the host, Michael, founder of the Sovereign Wealth Institute. This program will examine the institutional stewards of vast pools of capital, sovereign wealth funds, public and private pension plans, single family offices, and other allied allocators, whose decisions quietly but decisively shape markets, industries, and economic trajectories. We will analyze capital flows, dissect transactions, and interrogate the strategic framework that govern cross-border investment, spanning private markets, infrastructure, data centers, AI, emerging sectors, and the evolving nexus of finance and geopolitics. This is not an episodic commentary, but a systematic exploration of how the world's largest investors deploy capital. Seeking a clear understanding of where capital is moving and the structural implications of those movements, this channel is designed to inform you on that. Let us begin. A quick disclaimer: this show is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The views and opinions expressed by me and any of my guests are their own and do not constitute investment, legal, tax, or other professional advice. Nothing on the show should be interpreted as a recommendation to buy or sell any securities or make any investment decisions. Listeners should conduct their own research and consult with a qualified advisor before making any financial decisions. With that being done, let's start the show. The first episode of the Trillion Dollar Club show is going to start off with a big bang. We're going to start out talking about Anthropic. Anthropic's flagship product line is Claude, and many people use Claude today, whether it's drafting emails, and we can see it, or on LinkedIn posts. And Claude Code is the command line AI agent that many coders use. We've also heard the term vibe coding. And then Cowork is an equivalent with a graphical user interface. So Claude, ChatGPT, all these large language models have transformed the way people are doing work. And I believe, in my opinion, it's going to be even more so. Anthropic has released a number of models. Let's talk about Anthropic and its origins. The people that kind of formed Anthropic were at OpenAI. Dario founded Anthropic in 2021 by 7 former employees of OpenAI. And it's interesting. It kind of is a family business because Dario and Daniela are both brother and sister. And Daniela was OpenAI's vice president, coalesced and created Anthropic. And I believe her husband is also an early person at Anthropic, Holden Karnofsky. He joined Anthropic in 2025. He used to work at, let's see here, he was the CEO and co-CEO of Open Philanthropy, and he was on the board of directors of OpenAI between 2017 and 2021, but he did marry Daniela. So Daniela, Karnofsky's brother-in-law, and Dario. And interesting, wow. So it's kind of a family business. And Karnofsky has this interesting concept called effective altruism. I think we've heard that from another person. I think his name is Sam Bankman-Fried of FTX. Don't quote me on that. So let's dive into Anthropic some more. So that's kind of the founders that run the organization. And let's dive deeper into the investors that are backing Anthropic and where it's positioning itself today. Now, as you know, sovereign wealth funds, large family offices, asset managers, they like to see companies that have gained traction, have customers, and are ready to IPO. And that's where they put in the big money. But we can look at Anthropic's seed rounds, 2021 to 2023, and look at some of the early investors in Anthropic. One is Google. Obviously, that's a major data company and search engine giant. Mello Ventures, Spark Capital, and I believe 2 corporate ventures were involved, Salesforce Ventures and Zoom Ventures. Sound Ventures, I believe Sound Ventures is the company that was founded by Ashton Kutcher and Guy Oseary. Ashton Kutcher on that 70s show. So a little bit of that celebrity capital diversifying. And then we have 776. And then individual investors that participated in Anthropic, SBF, who is now in prison over the FTX chaos, right? And then Jan Tallinn, who was known for his creation of Skype and Kazaa, which is an old file sharing system. So, and Tallinn led the Series A round in Anthropic. And so you have a mixture of corporate venture capital, really smart people. SBF was tied to the crypto crowd, but a proponent of this effective altruism, and then it rolled into this thing, right? The Series D round was led by Google as a lead investor and Amazon. So this is when Amazon got more involved. Like, wait a second, this firm is spending a lot of money on compute. And this is sort of the beginning of the pre-hyperscaler phase. And we can fast forward a bit more. And the Series E round, which was quite large, the lead investor was Lightspeed Venture Partners. And so now you're getting more of the traditional venture capital firms that have received money from sovereign funds, foundations, endowments, public pension plans. So Lightspeed Venture Partners, Bessemer Venture Partners. You have another corporate, Cisco Investments, Salesforce Ventures. Then you have General Catalyst and D1 Capital Partners. We go along the September 2025 raise, as Claude becomes more widespread, people use it more. Now you're getting into the investors that are thinking about IPO, right? It needs more capital to get more market share, but they're preparing to do an initial public offering, right? So Alternative Capital, Valley Gifford, and some of these are traditional asset management house, like Valley Gifford is a traditional asset management house. BlackRock and its affiliated funds, the Blackstone Group, Katuo, D1 Capital, Fidelity Partners. And this is when we start getting the $1 trillion club. Let's talk about the sovereign wealth funds and large public pension plans. So we have the Maple 8, which are the large Canadian pension plans. They're very active investors. A lot of them are participants in growth equity, knowing that these companies will go public. You have the large Gulf-based sovereign wealth funds, the PIF Public Investment Fund. You have the Kuwait Investment Authority, and they have Kuwait Investment Office out in the UK. In this Series F round, the Qatar Investment Authority and the Ontario Teacher Pension Plan really stand out as public fund investors in Anthropic, right? The Anthropic Public Benefit Corporation. Then as we go to the Series G round in 2026, then we have GIC, which is a major sovereign wealth fund, the Singaporean sovereign wealth fund that is the twin to Temasek Holdings. But GIC was lead investor. Co-leads, you have Dragoneer, Founders Fund, Iconic Capital, and D.E. Shaw Ventures. So D.E. Shaw is the quantitative hedge fund, the black box, but they have a venture unit that goes out, obviously understanding the value of Claude and Claude Code. And I'm sure many of the programmers at these quantitative hedge funds are users of Claude Code. And that's kind of where they've done some damage to OpenAI, right? The Claude focused on the enterprise customer. And I didn't mention MGX. MGX is a quasi-sovereign fund based out of the UAE. It's being backed by Sheikh Tahnoon and it's being managed by Sheikh Tahnoon, but it's run by a number of the sovereign wealth funds out there. MGX has a focus of data. They were the investors. They target AI, advanced technology. They've done deals with Microsoft, BlackRock, G42, Vantage Data Centers, and they were investors in the TikTok, the spin out of the TikTok US version. So they are investors in TikTok USDS Joint Venture LLC in its compliance from Trump's executive order on September 25th, 2025. So TikTok was going to get shut down. That was a big story for those TikTok users, and that would have impacted 200 million Americans and 7.5 million businesses. However, they were able to spin that into a new kind of joint venture where the data is being stored in Oracle's cloud environment, right? And some of the investors with that is MGX. Let's see. The three managing investors are Silver Lake Partners, which they do a lot of deals in the Middle East, Oracle, and MGX, each holding a 15% stake in the TikTok USDS joint venture. The other investors in the consortium include the Dell family office, which is the family office of Michael Dell, founder of Dell Computers, Vasmir Strategic Investments, which is an affiliate of Susquehanna Investment Group, Susquehanna International Group. It's a quant shop out in Pennsylvania. Alpha Wave Partners, Revolution, Merit Way, which is managed by the partners of Dragoneer, Via Novo, affiliate of General Atlantic, and Virgo Lee, an investment arm of a foundation created by Yuri and Julia Milner and NJJ Capital. So, and ByteDance retains a 19.9% stake in the joint venture. So you have some tech luminaries owning this TikTok. Well, I kind of went down a rabbit hole with MGX, but MGX is out there building and investing in data center companies. So there is this theme that all of these are working together, right? You have money going into NVIDIA, the chip makers, money going into the data centers. This firm invests in that. And there's lots of people who have developed these nice relationship mapping of how this capital is being used in one place and then showing up someplace else, right? So MGX was an investor, and additional investors is Microsoft and NVIDIA. All right. So as it goes further along the trend line here, it peaks into a heavy sovereign wealth fund, large corporations, and large, late mature stage venture types of investors. Okay, well, let's talk about the big deal that happened, and that was the Amazon deal. All right, Amazon went in and put in a bunch of money in Anthropic. Okay, let's go in more into that. So the big deal was announced yesterday that Amazon revealed plans to invest another $25 billion in Anthropic. Amazon already invested $8 billion in the cloud maker over a period of time in a series of investments. So this is a major commitment. And from a structural perspective, the case for Amazon is the vertical integration across the AI stack, right? We have AWS, Amazon Web Services, Anthropic, and then Anthropic is the model builder. And let's not just forget that Amazon projects a $200 billion annual CapEx spend. And hence we had layoffs. They raised a bunch of debt, right? So they're going big into the AWS compute data center space. This is not something, and they're refocusing that, right? So part of the $25 billion deal, it includes $5 billion right now with milestones of $20 billion tied to certain commercial milestones, right? So it's not a $25 billion check right now, it's $5 billion. Amazon said in a news release that it will bring nearly 1 gigawatt total for Trinium 2 and Trinium 3 by the end of this year. And let's not forget, Amazon has a ton of liquidity. It raised a massive, one of the largest bond deals ever, $54 billion, and sovereign wealth funds, insurance companies ate that up. They purchased those bonds, right? Understanding the Amazon business. Can Amazon raise more debt? I think they can. However, in my opinion, at some point, if Anthropic goes public, that's a whole other story. But I can also see a scenario where Amazon could acquire or merge into Anthropic, creating a juggernaut. However, that would probably raise concerns with antitrust measures, right? So it's very fascinating to see that this play out. These vast amounts of monies are being raised. It seems like Anthropic and ChatGPT, OpenAI are the two leads. And then under that, you have a lot of other LLMs that are coming up on the sides. But Anthropic is definitely driving this charge here. So anyways, I just wanted to highlight that and some of the investors that are going into Anthropic. And let's not forget the relationship between Amazon and Anthropic and the relationship between Amazon and Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is working on Project Prometheus. Remember Prometheus, the Greek myth, the Greek legend, the Titans fire. Project Prometheus, I believe, is reportedly raised $10 billion or close to that in artificial intelligence lab. And so it'll be interesting to see how these three kind of converge. Project Prometheus was founded in November 2025, and it brings in people from Meta, OpenAI, and DeepMind. And they intend to apply AI to physical tasks, right? Jeff Bezos has Dreams, Blue Origin, Elon Musk, SpaceX, right? And so this will be interesting to see how this pans out. Earlier, Project Prometheus acquired General Agents, and agentic AI startup. And in addition, so yeah. Thank you very much for listening to the show. Stay tuned.